Bing bong! It's the Wildlife Aid 7 o'clock YouTube extravaganza. We're back, guys. We are back. We do have a slight problem tonight insofar as that Laurie and I are both absolutely knackered. So if you hear a lot of snoring coming from this end, please start sending us messages. Laurie particularly, because he's not a happy mood, Laurie, today. Oh, he's not happy. Oh, no. He's taken after me. I think he's caught me. I think he's becoming me. This week's been interesting. This month's been interesting. And Laurie seems to be doing all the rescues. So Laurie and I are having a little bit of a fallout now. I'm not allowed to feature on any of the rescues now. I'm allowed one a month. That's all he lets me do. And he's decided that he's the #1 man. What can I do? What can I say? How can I deal with that? Apart from shoot him, but then he wouldn't be here to do the rescues.
Well, that's not very nice.
No, we've been busy. We've been busy. This year has been our busiest. 40 years we've been going, and this year has been by far our busiest, probably 50% up on any previous years, not only on phone calls and patients coming in, but also just general busyness. I mean, there's so much going on. Even with the new centre, there's a lot going on. We've had some major hiccups with that. That's another long story. That would take about a 5-hour session to tell you all about that. So anyway, the drama is there. Yes, it is a lot of drama, and yes, eager beavers is a great expression if you're in your 60s, or probably even in your 50s. So
for anyone wondering, that was Simon that sent that. That is not something that Abby or I sent.
Laurie wouldn't know what eager beavers meant.
I do
Laurie's
know
never
what
been
eager
eager in his
beavers
life. Have you ever been eager, Laurie?
I have had spurts of eagerness.
Okay. Well, what about Abby? Is Abby eager? Is Abby going to show her face tonight? Is she going to show her face tonight at all?
I like that expression.
Apparently, Abby loves the expression eager beavers. So.
There you are. You see. so she'd better come on camera a little bit tonight.
Oh, I'm fairly sure she wouldn't like that one. Would you like to come on camera?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not was the comment on that one.
Oh dear.
I don't think there's much room for debate there.
Never mind. So a quick slurp of the old Coca-Cola. I nearly said Bacardi and Coke. I should have said Coca-Cola. So what have we been doing? Blackbirds. Let's talk about blackbirds first, shall we? I didn't even see this bird, but did you see it? You obviously saw it, Lloyd, because you took a picture of it.
Yes. So it arrived with us having only just hatched from its egg. So when we actually first saw it, it was actually still encased in its eggshell, and we had to sort of help peel all of the shell away. And it came in absolutely tiny, probably about the size of maybe a 50p piece if you're in the UK, probably a €2 coin if you're sort of in Europe. And it was an uphill battle with that. They need feeding every 15 minutes. It's very, very difficult, certainly in the first 48 hours, to get them feeding and get them warm and properly hydrated. But amazingly, it's done really, really well. And as we speak, it's currently in one of our aviaries with, I think, 6 or 7 other blackbirds, and is approaching release, which is amazing. So something that was absolutely tiny when we first got it.
That's what we do. We do it.
It is.
We do it. It's not amazing.
But it's amazing to think that is about a month's worth of growth between an absolutely tiny chick having only just hatched and a basically self-dependent juvenile ready for release. It's remarkable how quickly things work in the bird world.
That's what happens in nature, and here I am, 68 years old, and I still haven't grown up, so nothing much changes here.
You never will either.
Thank you, Laurie. Excellent. Okay, I'm just making a little mark on my paper here for all the down bits you say. Somebody said, how do you get a job at Wildlife Aid Centre? What degrees would it take? Well, anybody with a degree we turn down anyway, so we can't take anybody who's too bright. The only exceptions we make to that are vets, because they have to have a degree, otherwise they wouldn't be a vet.
That does help.
So there's Laurie's got a degree actually as well. Have you got 1 degree or 2, Laurie?
I've technically 2. I've got an undergrad and a master's.
Ooh, undergrad in masters, not even English. You see, he still hasn't learned to speak English, but never mind. So here we are. Oh, we've got a new addition, Michelle Browning, her first time catching up the live stream. So welcome, and welcome to all those eager beavers from the beginning. Thank you for joining us early. Do ask us your questions. Do come with different questions. We always seem to get lots of the same questions. Sweden saying good evening. So here are the marks from the Swedish people. No, I can't speak. I'm too tired, guys. Far too tired.
Don't
Simon,
do
the
that.
2,000-year-old Peter Pan, or the 2000s Peter Pan. I don't know quite what he means by that. I think we'll pass on that one, Laurie.
I have no idea what you're on about, if I'm honest.
I'm reading the live stream, man. I'm reading the live stream. It's catching up to the side of my screen here. So yeah, Blackbird was good, great story, but we do have hundreds and hundreds of those guys.
Yeah.
Babies will keep coming in now right through the summer probably. And I think last year in December we still had a baby duckling come in. So let's see what happens this year. The summer seems to be getting warmer and warmer, and we're due for a 33-degree day on Friday.
So last year, at the 31st of July last year, we had a tiny fox cub in as well.
Crazy.
Like barely just a few days old, still with the umbilical cord attached. So I think with everything that's going on, nature is very much unsure of itself. So we've no idea when seasons are going to change anymore.
No, it's all changed. I only mentioned a question about editor there, but I missed it. So you two can catch up on that and answer the question in a minute. Something about an editor.
Oh, did someone ever give your editor a biscuit? We had a comment on one of the YouTube videos saying give your editor a biscuit. I can't remember which particular video that was actually. It will either have been me, Abby or Sean, and I will make sure biscuits are dispensed accordingly, so thank you very much.
And I would have given a dog biscuit. I'd never give a human biscuit to them, far too much. So what was the second one? Oh, fox cubs. So all our fox cubs, we've had lots of those in this year. Some have already gone for release. We've got some more going for release at the end of this week, and I think that will be the last of them, Laurie, won't it?
Yes, yeah, it will be actually.
Unless anyone knows differently.
We've had well over 40 fox cubs in this year alone, and we've had to do it in several different release stages. So our youngest ones, which is the one remaining group that we've got, are actually going for release fairly soon. The first one, as Simon said, has already gone out, and then at that point we shall be fox cub free for another year.
Unless we get another baby in, you never know, Laurie. We might get some late ones, some small ones in. Does happen.
It does, yeah. So we will see on that front, but it's quite nice to, having gone through the whole process when they arrived as tiny little sort of brown fluffy things, to see them grow right the way through, and now they are basically just small foxes, completely self-dependent, scared of humans as they should be. And hopefully when they go back to the wild they will have a good second chance.
Good, well that's good, that's what we do. So we've been getting up to 80 patients a day. We've been taking a call every 4 minutes on some days, so you can tell how frenetic the phone calls are. The receptionists are whizzed off their feet, and it's really funny because receptionists answer all the phones, but let's get that right, Alice is always listening in, so if they get anything wrong, Alice is on them like a ton of pork chops, telling them what to do, what not to do, what to say, what not to say. So Alice, the ever vigilant, and she's still on tonight. Alice is still working tonight. I think she's on reception tonight, actually.
Yes, she is. Yeah.
So anybody wants to ring up and give her a hard time, you're welcome. I didn't say that, by the way.
You're not going to get out of this.
Who, me or you?
You. You're digging a hole here.
I spend my life digging holes, Laurie. I always forget. I'm like a squirrel with nuts. I dig all the holes and then forget where I've dug them until I fall in them. Happens a lot, really. Great crested grebe chick is the next thing on my agenda. We had very cute little thing in, but they do not really do well in captivity at all. So if humanly possible, you try to get them back where they came from, because the parents will be there. Only if the parents aren't there and you know they're not there, then you've got to do something about it. But we had a great crested grebe chick in, and we had to get it back out to its mum and dad post haste, and luckily it swam off down, found mum and dad, and they all lived happily ever after.
It promptly climbed up on mum's back and sort of sat there as it was taken away. Yeah.
Nobody told me that, you see. Laurie doesn't tell me anything now. He keeps me in the dark a lot of the time, guys.
We keep him in the basement now.
He keeps me in this very funny jacket where I can't move my arms. They're all sort of belted, sort of strapped together. He's quite cruel. So yes, no, we actually did a rescue the other day, and we went out on this rescue, and it is, when you're there, Laurie and I go because we're reasonably good at what we do, and I just got myself in a slightly wrong position, so I could do half the rescue, but I couldn't do the actual capture. So I was with my, very nervously said to Laurie, I think you better go for that because you're in the right place and I'm not. So Laurie went forward and he had his net and he had everything, and this duckling, which it wasn't a duckling, it was a sort of a juvenile duck, had been going downhill. It wasn't able to use its right leg at all, and I saw Laurie going up towards it without a net, and I didn't say anything because I'm far too polite, but I put my head in my hands figuratively and I went, oh, this is going to be a disaster. Laurie cannot do this. He needs a net. He needs to get it in a net.
I believe you said, I
right,
bet
let
you
me finish,
any money
let
you
me
won't
finish
get
my
that.
story. Let me finish my story, Braley, or I will just cut your lead. So anyway, he went, and then he got towards it, and he didn't go, and he didn't go. And it's funny on rescues, because whoever does the rescue, you sort of gear yourself up to going at a certain point, and you know, sometimes I can't work out why they haven't gone when I would have gone. And he didn't go, and he didn't go, and I thought, this is going to be a disaster. And then lo and behold, the little blighter caught it very cleanly, very quick swoop. So Laurie has now decided that he's the senior rescuer.
No, he has decided
I'm
this.
the junior. I know my place, Laurie. I do know my place. So if you want to take over this whole YouTube stream and running the charity, it's all yours, Laurie Braley.
I've switched the cameras around so you're the small picture.
Thank you very much. That's what he does. He does that to me. What else is going on? Tell me something else. Any questions coming in?
We've had a couple of questions already, to be honest. George has asked, have you saved any more angry swans recently?
Not that recently, have we? We did some about, 3 weeks ago now, 4 weeks ago. I don't think we've done swans more recently than that, have we?
We've done a couple of small ones. Yeah, we've done that grounded swan that wasn't particularly angry, it was quite easy to catch. The angriest one recently was the one where you had to check on that signet and they were not happy with you checking on that signet.
But that's out there, isn't it? That's out there on YouTube, that video.
It is out there on YouTube, yeah.
So catch up on our YouTube, guys. So we're going to ask a question. I'm going to ask a question of you lot now, because we want to know, now we're sort of slightly coming out of the COVID scenario, whether we drop back to once a month or whether you all vehemently think we should stay at every 2 weeks. So give us all your opinions over the next few minutes, and we'll keep an eye on things. But we are here, however tired. For you, we'll do anything, won't we, Laurie?
Within reason.
Within reason. Okay, he's getting like me. So what else? What else have we got? Oh, the tawny owls, they're doing ever so well. They're on the webcam, so if you want to see 11 tawny owls sitting in a row at night and making so much noise, they're so verbal at night. You get, all you can hear is owl hooting through pretty much most of the night, and then the wild ones come in and fly around, and they start hooting as well. So it all becomes a right hoot, Laurie, doesn't it?
I'm not going to justify that dad joke with an answer.
Okay, well there we are. And somebody has very kindly, Gabby's given us $10 US. Thank you, Gabby, for that. You are great. Let's have some money streaming in, because this is our most expensive time of year. It is pretty scary, and of course not having an open day doesn't really help. So that's sort of quite a big chunk of money that we're not going to get. So any money you can help with would be absolutely wonderful. And we've got stuff to buy. We've got several appeals going out quite soon. We want stuff for hedgehogs, we want stuff for drugs, we want stuff for the boat. I mean, it never stops, and this time of year is probably our worst, and because it's our heaviest outgoings this time of year, because not only are we using more food, but we're using more drugs, and that's just Laurie, but all sorts of things. So yeah, expensive time of year for us, and I get very, very sad. I like taking money in and I smile, and every time I spend money out, I don't like it at all. £10, 10 US sterling from Mostly Sane. Well, that's, you see, it's no good being mostly sane. You should be mostly insane like us. It's a much better way to be.
I love the way you can't recognise your own currency as well. That is not US sterling. That is British sterling.
Well, Trump's trying to take us over, though, isn't he? So,
oh, don't go there. We're not doing politics.
Oh, we're not going to do politics. I'm not allowed to do politics. Everybody gets very cross when I do politics. Any more questions coming that we need to hit?
Just before we do that, that's actually the fourth donation we have had. So Rebecca Rabbit 32 actually donated £6 just before we went live. So a huge thank you there. And Little Man 787 has donated £5 and has put, going through a bit of a tough time. Your videos have been such a comfort and a lifesaver. Thank you for what you're doing for humanity. I'm really sorry to hear that you are going through a tough time. I really hope it picks up soon, and thank you very, very much for your kind comment.
Oh, Laurie, you're such a smoothie. But we don't do it for humanity, do we? We do it for the animals. Simon doesn't like humanity. He thinks humans are the biggest invasive species on the planet, but that's getting us slightly political and we're not allowed to go there either. So let's start talking about the animals. Let's help the animals.
Yeah, we've had a few people asked, have we got the new boat yet? And I think you know where this is going, considering we tried to use it yesterday, but there was a slight issue preventing that, wasn't there?
You see, there again, now Laurie starts to belittle me, he makes me feel old, he makes me look senile, he gets very cross, he gets stroppy. Not that he ever always remembers his camera kit, but we went out and I got the motor. And I got the motor and I put it in the car, and then I got the boat and put it in the car, and everything's fine. I had everything I needed. What I had admitted to think about is I needed the tiller for the motor, which was still in the garage. I hadn't picked it up because it's usually attached to it and it wasn't. So I blame Laurie for taking that off and hiding it.
Bear in mind, I was off-site at this point. I got back and straight in the car to be absolutely assured that Simon had everything we needed.
Yeah, but you must have put the motor away last time, so you must have taken the tiller off. So I blame you for that entirely. And then we went
next to where it was.
And then we went to inflate the boat, and I had the pump because I remember the pump and I knew the battery was up. What I hadn't taken was the connecting hose, but what I did know when we got there is that Laurie is so full of hot air that he could have inflated it in seconds. One breath out and we'd be zipping across the water. So a bit of a disaster. We did manage to get the boat done in the end after a little bit of gaffer tape and messing around, but sadly the boat, although we got it out there, we couldn't catch the duck we were after. It had a little small plastic ring round its neck, but every time we got anywhere near it, it flew. But we shan't give up. I know that people will try and get it. They were going to try to get it today. We left them with a very big net and a big pole so they can try and do it, and they're going to go early in the morning. So hopefully that will be a success story in the end. We don't always get everything first time, which gets Laurie really, really, really cross. If you want to see Laurie cross, go for something that you can't get, and he sulks for at least a week.
I get very grumpy.
Very grumpy. More grumpy than normal. But we will get it. It will happen in the end. We nearly went out for a swan this morning, but this swan was nearly dying. It had its head under its wing, and lo and behold, 20 minutes later when we sent a volunteer down to check, it had flown off. So it wasn't that poorly. So there we are. Where's your... Who's that? That's very unkind. Simon, where's your brown hair gone? My heavens above, that was a long time ago. I knew I should have used Grecian 2000 years ago, and then I could still pretend I had brown hair. I think I've got one somewhere, but it's hiding. It gets very scared to come out with all the white ones.
Just had a question in from Flutterby0704, who's just asked both of us, what are our working hours and do we get days off?
Don't be so stupid! What a stupid question. Working hours are midnight to midnight. That's 7 days a week, and so therefore no holidays, guys. We don't do holidays. That's for wimps, holidays. We're eager beavers here.
Yeah, we are on call 24 hours a day, so we will, as you may have seen on some of the videos on the YouTube channel, we will go out at 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, Christmas Day, to go out and rescue on there. It is, as the nature of the work, it's a full-time thing, so luckily it's not just us. We do have a huge team of volunteers, vets, rescuers, everyone as well, who take the vast majority of that. But yeah, the centre itself is definitely a 24 hours a day, 365 commitment.
That's it, guys. That's what we do. Laurie, why don't we at this point take the advantage of taking a quick video clip break? Over the last few sessions we've been showing you just a little clip of video from somewhere in the past series, and this one is particularly poignant, I think is the word, isn't it? Poignant, Laurie.
Yes. One many of you will have probably heard about, but very few of you will have actually seen, I think. Do you want to introduce? I was
going to say, I was going to let them watch it and I was going to speak about it afterwards, so let's let them watch it. Okay. You might, guys, just a little hint here, you might need a little handkerchief on this one, so
go back
I won't
to
say enjoy
1996.
it, but watch it. This is something we had to go through many years ago, back in 1996.
At 10:20 on the night of the 13th of May 1996, the greatest possible disaster occurred at the centre. A devastating fire swept through our main rehabilitation unit. This unit housed 60 animals, including foxes, owls, hedgehogs, polecats, a barn owl and other birds, and the 4 young tawny owls that had been taken there the day before. three volunteers that had been on duty that night, Adam, Debbie and Layla, for some unknown reason were late in leaving. It was their immediate action and their dedication that helped make the disaster just a little less. They rescued 55 animals from the blaze, of the 60 that were there. There could not possibly have been a greater disaster. Words will never begin to describe how we all felt that night. It was as if all our work over the years had been destroyed in one night by one fire. Animals, I'm sure, can sense disaster long before man. And when the three helpers began rescuing the creatures from the area, not one animal inflicted any injury on anyone. Absolutely nothing was left of the rehabilitation area. The rehabilitation of wild creatures is 50% of the centre's work, and now there was nothing left. When dawn broke the following morning, the situation seemed totally unreal. The smell of smouldering timber hit home the scenes that we'd seen only hours before. The animals that had been bundled into makeshift cages still appeared totally traumatised, but this at last began to force me to think of their welfare. If we did not fight back, they would be denied the chance of returning to the wild. We owed it to them, even if nothing else mattered.
Okay, so guys, that was probably one of the without doubt, actually, the blackest moment in Wildlife Aid's history. It happened, as I say, in 1996. We had a massive fire up in the top of the centre. It was pretty traumatic. I can still think of it now, and I can still see it so clearly in my mind's eye. Fire broke out very late at night. Luckily, because we have CCTV, we sort of saw something going on, or somebody smelt smoke or something, and we rushed up there. And the top barn was on fire, and it was caused, actually, is a good point, a good learning lesson here, guys, because we had a lot of deep freezers in the top barn. As freezers and fridges and all these sort of mechanical, these electrical driven things get older, the motors get hotter and hotter, and these obviously were quite old in our top barn, and they obviously got very dusty with stuff up there, and one of them caught fire. And it was quite interesting to see, because we had CCTV in those days, and it was about 1 minute from seeing a tiny puff of smoke to the whole thing being absolutely ablaze. We all rushed up there. I rang the cameraman who came back in from Epsom, and we all rushed up there. The fire brigade, I will say this probably 1,000,000 times during this piece, were absolutely bloody incredible. They took 7 minutes to get here from Dorking. They went up there, they actually took water from our pond to put through their machines for the fire, and they worked like demons. We were rushing in, getting animals out. They kept telling us not to go in and not to do things. Nothing was going to stop us, so they kept us well doused in water. And as we got things out of the various cages, we were just having to throw them in anywhere else, and it was really weird. It's strange, because we were putting foxes in a pen 1 minute, and then we were putting some pigeons in with it next. The pigeons went up, the foxes stayed down. Nothing attacked anything else. I think they were all shell shot, rather like we were. At one point I went to get our barn owl out of one of the enclosures, and the door was padlocked. We hadn't got a key, and I've never been able to do it since, but I picked up a 2-foot paving slab, one of the big heavy council ones, and just smashed it through the door and got the barn owl out. It was pretty traumatic. It was a long evening. It went on for ages, but I think the most heartwarming thing to me, although the sight of that last shot, which always is so powerful to me, just the charred wood and the smoke at dawn. Believe it or not, as soon as the firemen came off shift, they came back to help us clear out. So that was absolutely amazing. They helped us dig things out. They helped us make sure the wood was all out. They helped us put things away. Incredible team of guys. These guys, rather like the nurses and the doctors, they all deserve absolute praise for what they do. So stunning. But that was one of the times when I very nearly gave it all up and thought, I can't do this anymore. It was too much. The fire took out a third of the centre. I think out of the 60 patients that were up there, I think we only lost 3 or 4, maybe 5, but very, very few. And it was, yeah, I could have given it up. It was, you get to that sort of, I always say I'm a fighter, and I think I am, but for a few hours there, I was thinking, that's enough, I can't go through this again. But you pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, which is another English expression, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, just like eager beavers, and get going again. So we did. and it was a interesting lesson. The funny thing I think for us really was when it was all burnt down and a mess, we thought, well, we need to rebuild it, so let's build it better than it was before, let's do the layout better. But actually when we built it all again, we actually built it exactly the same way because it worked so well, and it always worked so well, so we just rebuilt it, and it was rebuilt, believe it or not, a year to the day we reopened that place. So that's not bad going. And I've just lost Laurie out of my ear, so I better put Laurie back in my ear before too much happens, because if he's talking to me now, he's getting absolutely nothing. Laurie, are you still receiving over?
I'm still here.
Oh, you're still there. Oh, that's a shame. I hoped you might have gone home. So anything else? Goosebumps, yeah. So Lucy found that quite moving, as we all do. I'm sure most of you did. It was pretty damned horrific, guys, to be honest. But you dust yourself off and get on and do it all over again.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so moving forward on that one, let's take it back to the present day. So what sort of rescues have we been doing over the past couple of weeks?
Oh, I don't know. I can't remember what I did this morning, Laurie. Heavens above. We did. Oh no, come. This is the rescues for the last couple of weeks. They all seem to be Laurie rescues to me. I think I feature in one, and Laurie does the rest.
That's not true. That's not true.
That's how it goes. He doesn't film me anymore. He just films himself. So we did a fox cub trapped in netting, which you can talk about because I wasn't there, Laurie. He didn't tell me he was going. He went out. He stole my car and off he went.
That's not true. You weren't actually on site at that point. We got a call from a school over in Esher who had a fox cub trapped in football netting. Sadly it's a call we get an awful lot at this time of year, especially as fox cubs are starting to move away from the den a bit more. They tend to try and fit through the tiniest gap and do get themselves stuck. Now usually if you've seen a lot of our videos on that topic, we're quite lucky that a lot of them aren't caught too tightly and we can cut them away and release them on site, but unfortunately this guy had been tangled very, very badly. He had about 15 different strands of the net round his neck, and it had led to his head swelling up about twice the size that it should be, and he had a small cut on the other side of his lips, and he'd bitten his tongue in the process. So we cut him free, brought him back to the centre, and Rita, one of our vets, assessed, made sure that everything was well, started it on a course of treatment, and after a period of time recovering here, the swelling went down. The fox was very, very feisty, was jumping up the wall to escape, and I believe you took it back to the wild and let it go. Went off really, really well. Yes, and straight back to where it knew it was, which is quite remarkable.
They know what they're all about, but yeah, you know, we do get so many of them. In fact, most of our rescues over the last couple of weeks have been entanglements in something, be it netting, be it pond netting, be it football netting, all sorts of entanglements. And that's what happens this time of year, because the youngsters are coming out, they're beginning to break away from their parents, you know, exploring really. They haven't got the sort of savvy of their parents, they haven't learned what to stay clear of, what not to do. And the trouble is, when they get into something like that, instead of just sort of calmly just stepping backwards, which, you know, you and I would hopefully do, they just thrash around crazily, and that gets it all knotted. It gets it far, far worse, and they often die. I mean, we get stuff, if we don't get there quick enough, they actually strangle themselves, or circulation goes in their leg because they've fought so hard to get away from it. So netting, guys, try to keep any netting off the ground by about 2 feet. If you've got football nets in the garden, tennis nets, any sort of netting, even your netting on your vegetables, just start at 2 feet from the ground. It won't stop everything, it won't stop some of the bigger animals, but it will stop possibly up to 90% of the problems that we get, because we do get hundreds and hundreds this time of year.
We've seen so many, even just for the past week, we've seen multiple hedgehogs trapped in tennis netting, or sort of the mesh netting you put over allotments. We've seen birds tangled in netting. We had a young robin that was tangled in a glue trap. We've seen things stuck in fences, foxes stuck in fences, foxes stuck in football netting. Certainly at this time of year, it is the major thing that we have to deal with. So if you can just keep those nets, just give them that foot of room, it will actually save quite a lot of animals on that one. So I think that's something we say in every video, but we do see it quite a lot.
I just missed something down here about a concert. How about Simon arranging a music concert to increase funds and increase publicity? I've always wanted to do a music concert. I think music actually is the food of life in a way. I mean, music's so powerful. Watch any film, if you watch it without the music, it's awful. I think music's very powerful, and if you think of all the big fundraising things that have started in the past, WaterAid, all the other aids that we've had, they've all been driven by groups and music. So I think music is very powerful. I'd love to do a concert. The trouble is, I'd want to feature in it, and if anybody came and I was on quite early on, they'd all leave immediately, because my music skills are so bad. But one day, guys, one day we'll do something. Anybody out there is a famous musician and wants to help us put something on as soon as this COVID thing is over, then yeah, it'd be really wonderful to do that. Wonderful. Has anybody, Laurie, come back on this sort of 2 weeks or 1 month thing? Or have they all been very quiet? Are they getting fed up?
Most people are saying 2 weeks on that one. I don't think we've had a single 1 month.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
So everyone is saying 2 weeks. So I think for the time being we will stick at the 2 weeks. That does depend on how busy things are as well. Occasionally we might not be able to do it because too much is happening, especially with, as Simon said, the new centre plans moving on as they are. But for the time being, we will try and stick with 2 weeks. So thank you for your input on that.
But here's the deal, guys. If we do this every 2 weeks, I've got a little challenge for you. If you can get at least one of your friends to come in and watch this as well, and challenge them with getting a friend in, it would sort of mushroom out. We get many more followers, which would give us a better standing on YouTube, which would make us a little bit more money on YouTube, because obviously what you give us through YouTube is very significant, and without your enthusiasm and your donations, we would not be where we are today. So don't think you're just watching this for a bit of fun. You watching it means that we can keep doing our work, so we are so grateful. But just see if you can get somebody in to sort of watch these streams. We had one person already this evening. It's their first time to watch it. Get your friends watching it and tell them to get a friend watching it, and so forth down the line. That would really help us out so much.
We've had a couple more questions that have come in as well. The Black Squirrel has asked, what is a poglet? Because that is a word that you use quite a lot.
If you were old like me and knew the English language like eager beavers, there are definitely things like poglets. Poglet is a mythical animal, rather like me. I'm a bit mythical. Yes, poglet. It's in a term of endearment, Laurie, like my terms to you. But I can't use that on live chats because we probably get cut off air.
Poglet is a hedgehog.
Perhaps I'll call you a poglet, Laurie. Laurie, you're my little poglet.
Oh God, this is getting weird.
Okay, it's £25 just come in. Thank you very much. It's Scottish astronomer again, young lady. Have you finished the other book yet? Tell us what you thought about it. Don't encourage him. Who's encouraged? That's Lucy. She honestly. Sitting in a beach in Portugal, drinking a wine, probably 3 sheets to the wind by now. Just saying, don't encourage him. Very, very sad.
Hazel B has said, hello, thank you so much for the lovely fox photo that she won in the auction in the last live show. It arrived today. Thank you for signing it. It's a lovely photo. So thank you very much and hope you enjoy it. Thank you very much for all your support in our last live stream.
So that was the picture that I took and let you take the credit for, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it was. You see, it's all me. It's all down to me.
Your blurry photos.
We had ducklings. Okay. Oh no, we've missed one. But another rescue. We had that bat trapped in the light fitting. It was very strange. We got called by a guy who said there's a bat behind my light fitting. And when you go to these rescues, you've really no idea what to expect. But the bat had got the tip of his wing stuck in the minusculest gap between the wall and the back of the light fitting, and obviously he tried to twist out of it, and it really didn't help. The guide obviously tried to give it a bit of a tug as well, so that didn't help because there was a little bit of blood on the wall. But with a lot of manoeuvring, we did manage to get it out. I was just tugging this light fitting off the wall. I was terrified that any second now the entire light fitting was going to come off in my hand and leave a great hole in the wall. But we didn't. We lifted it just enough and we got the bat back. There was no major or lasting damage. I think he went back off. I'm not sure whether he went to a bat carer first or whether he went
to a bat carer first. That one, just to make sure that everything was okay, because it was caught by one of the claws on the wing. We just wanted to make sure that was still mobile. So it's gone off for a bit of R&R with a dedicated bat carer.
See, everybody's calling you their little poglet now, Laurie. It's going to stick, isn't it? It is going to stick.
Oh no! I resign.
Laurie the poglet.
Effective immediately.
Oh dear. So we did that one. What's the duck and ducklings on the balcony?
Yes, yeah.
That was another of those rescues, rather like the duck that Laurie rescued, and he had to grab at it. You know, this duck's sort of 5 stories up on a very small balcony in a block of flats in London, or near London, I think it was.
In the planter.
And in the planter, and it was just sitting there. Its young was there, that she was sitting there all running around, but there was very little cover. Normally you can sort of creep up on these things without them seeing you, and there weren't very high plants in the planter, and it's weird for that rescue for me, because I went to grab it 3 or 4 times and I just didn't go, and you just go when it's right. I can't explain to you how or why it is, but you suddenly, everything just comes together and you grab it. And luckily I did grab it, I didn't miss it, otherwise I would have never lived that down. So he caught Mum. The babies all scattered, but luckily they weren't big enough to escape for far, so he caught all the babies very quickly. And then we took it down to the ground level. They're actually right next to a river, and there's a little tributary off the river, a nice little backwater. And we released Mum and ducklings there straight away, so it was a very quick rescue release. But Mum did poo in the flat. As we brought her back through the flat to put with her babies, she did the most almighty great black poo, which splattered across the floor and smelt pretty damn strong. So, but the woman was very good about it. We did mop up her floor for her.
We did clean
it up. And then we took them down. That was good. I love rescue releases. That was really quite fun. So what else we had? Anything else exciting, Laurie? I seem to be doing all the talking
number of
tonight.
comments. So Lee has asked, how can we contribute money from the US? So for any of you watching on YouTube, if you look down in the chat, there's a little sort of $sign, and that is the super chat. So if you've seen a couple of these super chats appearing in the chat, if you want to post one of those, please click on that, fill in all the details, and that will appear. If you would rather not do things through YouTube, if you visit our website, so www.wildlifeaid.org.uk, there's a donate button on there as well, and that will work from anywhere in the world. So that would just be that your bank will automatically convert however much you donate to the UK currency for us. So if you do have any issues with that, please do drop us an email. There's a contact form on the website, and we will look into that one for you. And thank you very much if you are going to donate.
We've been told to look at the most recent comments. I don't know what we've missed, Laurie, but I'll leave Abby to have a peep somewhere. Perhaps we've missed something down there. I don't know quite why.
Yeah, we're trying to get to as many as we can. We actually have a document of comments that Abby is adding to at the moment, so we are trying to work our way through. We'll try and get through as many as we can. George has asked, have you ever saved any wood pigeons, Simon?
Yeah, we save all pigeons. Wood pigeons, ring-necked doves, feral pigeons, anything that needs rescuing, we rescue. So wood pigeons we certainly have.
I think your most recent wood pigeon was up a chimney, if I remember.
It was
right.
up a chimney. In fact, one we didn't go out to, and the people who tried to do it themselves, they saw it up the chimney and they grabbed hold of it. But like a lot of people, when you don't know what you're doing, you grab hold of the first thing you can get hold of. And in this case, they grabbed hold of the tail. And if you grab hold of a pigeon's tail, it sheds the entire tail all at once. So you come out very red-faced with a handful of tail, and the pigeon looking very indignant. So you know, don't grab it by the tail, guys. Either grab it around the body or get somebody to come and do it. Somebody just given us €100, Laurie. That's
you know who that is.
FXP1688. That is not you know who.
That is Sven. Welcome back, Sven, and thank you once again for your incredible generosity.
The guy must be making his own money over there. We need to borrow his money machine, Laurie. That's what we need. we need to start to print our own. Nigel Grant's been commenting back and forth as well. Nigel, great to have you on board tonight. You normally are. You're a brilliant supporter of Wildlife Aid. You raised money for us last year. I think it's got to be Wildlife Aid's turn again soon, isn't it? Yeah, let's go again next year, Grant. Let's see if you can do it, Nigel. Let's see if you can do it.
Yeah. So Nigel has a target to raise £10,000 for a charity. He's done a number of charities. We are very lucky to have been one of those. So thank you very much, Nigel, for all your support, not only for us but for everyone else you've helped as well. That's very much appreciated, and I'm sure the same can be said from those charities.
Perhaps next year he could raise money for the Simon Cowell Barbados Fund. That would be quite nice. I could become a registered charity very quickly and overnight.
Len, or Lene, I still have no idea how to pronounce that, I do apologise, has asked, does WAF need any new tools or equipment at the moment?
All the time. I mean, that's a very silly question to ask us, because there's always things we need and want. A lot of stuff, to be honest, because we are so pushed for time nowadays, it would love to be able to fundraise for them all, but a lot of things we sort of need it, and we need it today, and we just have to go out and buy it. I mean, we need 10 new hedgehog heaters. These are the sort of little square metal blankets that are powered by electricity, and they just keep the hedgehogs warm. We've got so many hedgehogs in the moment, and we're still only on the first brood. I think we've got loads and loads of tinies. Some of them are out with carers, but they still need this heat. Now, we bought 2 of these mats because we needed them that desperately. We actually need about another 15 or 16 of them. So we're going to try to get round to doing a fundraiser for that, and they're about 50 quid each, because they not only have the heat mat, but they have a special, very accurately thermostatically controlled probe on them, so it keeps them absolutely the right temperature. So we might get round to doing a fundraiser for it, but sadly, because things are moving so fast here, as they always do, we often just have to rush out and buy it and try and sort it out afterwards. So always things this time of year, guys. Also, for those who were asking earlier on, we had to stop inductions obviously because of the COVID situation. Alice has now started those again. I think from the 1st of August we're starting inductions again. So if anybody wants to come and be a volunteer, please fill in the old form and Alice will get you in for an induction. We still have to be a bit careful on that, because we're still, you know, I don't think we're over COVID yet. I don't think we're even at the end of the beginning, let alone the beginning of the end. So you need to be careful. Don't just think it's over, guys. Don't just rush off and think things are going to go back to normal. Sadly, they're not, for some considerable time. So yes, we are doing inductions, but we are going to be quite careful how we do them.
A couple more questions that have come in. Alicia has asked, why do Channel 5 always show old episodes of Wildlife SOS, and do we have any plans to do a new TV series?
One, they show the old episodes because they don't have to pay for them, and I think even that license has run out now, so that's why they show them, because it doesn't cost them any money. We looked at doing another TV series. We did approach a couple of channels, but honestly, TV broadcasters have no money at the moment. They're really scraping the barrel for funds, because obviously nobody's advertising with them. TV is really changing, and you know, Netflix is taking over, and Amazon and all these other platforms are taking over, so people aren't advertising there so much, they don't have the budget. But we've found, to be honest, that YouTube has been so successful for us, and we managed to put out exactly what we want to put out, how to do a rescue. We try to make them quite informational, as well as just enjoying the rescue. And if you know, you watch how to do things, you'll know how to do it yourselves. So YouTube's been good to us. I wish we made more money from YouTube. Sadly, we don't. But you know, the more followers we get, the more money we'll make. So yeah, get all your friends on board, guys. Get all your friends on board right now.
And if you do work for a major UK TV company, please speak to us, because we would love to do something like that again if it was there. So Pixie Jane Pickering has asked, have we ever had to rescue the same animal more than once? And I can think of at least one of those, actually.
Off you go, Laurie. The floor is yours.
We rescued a fox at one point. I think it was collapsed. I think it was hit by a car. It was rushed back to the centre. It was actually put on a drip. Was here for quite a while. Did eventually recover and was released back to the wild. But about a week later, we got a call for a fox that was stuck in a football net in the garden. And as we got there, we noticed the fox still had the same shaved patch on its leg that happens when you put them on a drip. And it was, in fact, exactly the same fox. So unfortunately, since release, it managed to get itself stuck in a football net. But luckily, that was quickly removed and sent back to the wild. So I think there's been a few repeat patients. And some of them we might not know.
It's one of those few occasions when we always say we're giving it a second chance. This one had a third chance. So it's incredible, really. So yeah, no, we're there. We're out there doing it for everything. And we had a grass snake. You were talking about sort of entrapments. We had that grass snake stuck in a wire fence, didn't we?
Yes,
Not
yeah.
too long ago.
We get an awful lot of entrapments. Fences. We had a fox that was actually trapped by its back leg in the fence recently. We've had numerous hedgehogs trapped in netting. We've had birds trapped in netting. We had a goose recently that had swallowed a fishing hook. There's an awful lot of things caused by discarded litter. And in fact, one of the other rescue centres here in the UK, South Essex Wildlife Hospital, I believe, actually had a gull come in with a mask, one of the masks that everyone's now has to wear in the UK. One of
to
these
those who are in,
that was actually
in English,
stuck around
this is a
its
mask.
legs.
It's a mask, Laurie, a mask, not a mask. It's a mask.
So that was actually tangled around its legs and causing major issues. And I've seen posts from other people as well who've seen peregrine falcons with these sort of in their talons trying to eat them. If you are wearing these, guys, or gloves or any sort of PPE, depending on how that's mandated in your country, please dispose of it responsibly, because wildlife will bear the brunt of our negligence on that one.
It is horrendous. If you see anything anybody else has tipped down, pick it up if you can, safely obviously, like glass, rubber bands, anything like that is just so hazardous for wildlife. And obviously all the fishing nets and stuff in the oceans, you see so many thousands of turtles and whales and all sorts of things stuck in fishing net. Now obviously we can't do that, it's too big for us, but it just goes to show that most of these entrapments are directly due to man. So pretty sad, guys. Just, you know, if somebody drops something, ask them to pick it up nicely. Don't put yourself at risk, but just think of the wildlife, guys, because they really need all the help they can get.
Yeah. Amazingly, a number of donations have come in as well, so huge thank you to everyone who is doing that. Emma has donated 50 Swedish krona and has just put a good job, thumbs up, so thank you very much. The Black Squirrel has donated 100, I believe that's also Swedish krona. Huge thank you for that one. It's put love from Sweden, and please say hi to the Poglets from me. We shall do that. We have an awful lot in at the moment. Lean, please tell me how to say that, because you're here quite a lot and I do feel really bad that I can't pronounce your name properly. Has donated 300 Danish krona, so huge thank you for that one. And it's put thank you for your continuous commitment. Thank you very much for your help. And Tony has just donated $10 US, so huge thank you to you as well.
It's rolling in, Laurie, it's rolling in, but no, I noticed no donations to the Simon Cowell Barbados Fund yet. That's disappointing, very disappointing.
Just
so
had
we've got
another
the
donation actually in, just one second. So Dan has just donated £5 and has asked, has there been an increase or decrease in the amount of animals that need your help during the COVID-19 pandemic?
There's been a massive increase. I say this has been our busiest year in 40 years now. Whether it's due to COVID or whether it's due to other factors, just the changing climate, we don't know, to be honest. But certainly there's been a massive increase, 50% up on any previous year. So insane increase is the answer to your question. Why, we don't know. Could be due to COVID. I guess we'll find out if it happens again next year.
Ad Revenue has asked you, what animal did you first take care of when you first started sort of the animal rehabilitation journey?
Well, you know the answer to that, Guy. You've got to buy my autobiography and you'll find out. But I'll give you a sneak preview that it was actually a seagull. But there's no such thing as a seagull. So it was a gull. I corrected myself very quickly there, Laurie. But in those days, everybody thought they were just seagulls. There are over 50 different species of gull in this country and none of them are called seagulls, funnily enough. So that was the first creature we ever rescued, and one of the second ones was in fact a swan. Yeah,
and your story of rescuing a swan when you had no idea what you were doing at the time.
That you've got to read the book as well for. You've got to read the book. I'm not going to give them any more clues. They're getting all they're going to get.
Lovelt is asked, in terms of educating children and young people, what types of activities do we have or offer for them, both before COVID and now?
Well, we do. We've got IDOT, which has been a bit parked recently because of COVID. Sadly, we sort of launched it in schools, and you know we go out and do a lot of talks at schools anyway. So either IDOT or non-IDOT, we go out to a lot of schools and just chat to the children. I much prefer to sit down with them and not talk at them, but talk with them and ask them questions, because that gets them far more involved. So yes, you know, we do a lot with schools. We'll do more if you ask us to do something. We've got stuff we can send you. We've got all sorts of things going on there as well. So education, to me, the new centre is going to be heavily focused on education if we ever get there, God help us. But that will have a much stronger bias towards education, not only to children but to vets and vet nurses as well. So it'll be an all-encompassing learning centre as well as doing centre, and hopefully we can help more animals as well. Yeah. So there is always a lot to do, and we're always trying very hard. And as Laurie will tell you, I'll tell you first because otherwise he'll interrupt me. Everybody says I'm very trying.
Yeah, I can't argue with that one. It's also, if any of you follow us on our other social media platforms, so Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, any of those, we do a relatively common weekly quiz as well, so identifying species from either close-up photos or from youngsters or from eggs or anything like that, including answers. So they're all on there as well, available on our iDot website to download. And we also have weekly pub quiz questions to sort of test your brain as well. So if you want to head over to our other social media platforms, there should be some content there as well.
I just want to say,
and more to come on that.
While we're getting there, you know, I apologise for Laurie tonight. We had one of our supporters who really supports us very well and very strongly. Laurie did promise her that he would shave before tonight, and
I forgot. I haven't had the time.
I fear that that's his excuse. He hasn't had the time. He hasn't.
It's only
had
about
the
a
time.
day.
You can make time. No, Laurie, you know she doesn't like beards and moustaches. So you know, she'll never give us any more money now, and it'll be your fault. She's gone quiet.
Merging together a couple of questions here. We've had a few people say what rough area do we operate in, and a couple of people also saying, have you ever thought about opening other centres around the country or in different countries?
God forbid, I can't even run this one. Our operation normally is within about an hour of base, because that's all the far we'll go, but it's the time of getting there, what would have happened before we got there, whether somebody else got there. So it really does depend upon circumstances. If we were needed 2 hours away from base, we would do it. If we were desperately needed and we could do it and nobody else could. So it's within an hour normally, but occasionally we'll go more. And Laurie, I'm just very excited because I got my first $5 for the Simon Barbados Fund. I'm very excited. I'm very excited now.
Don't encourage him, please.
You keep falling out of my ear, Laurie. It's very upsetting. I must get a different earpiece because this thing keeps falling out and I really don't like it. So I've got a bit of news as well, actually, guys. The Charity Times Awards, every year they have an award show, which this year is on the 3rd of September. And they have lots of different categories. The Honour of Outstanding Professionals, recognise and celebrate something, contribute towards raising funds, promote things. So there's lots of shortlists. And the shortlists are all out now, and when they go from shortlist to the winner, that will be chosen by a team of people up there, so we don't get a choice of it. But we have been shortlisted for an award this year. There's all sorts of awards: the Charity of the Year with an income of less than $1 million, Charity of the Year with an income of more than 10 million, the PR Charity of the Year, Change Project of the Year, and one of the categories is for, believe it or not, charity with the best social media presence. And I would like to tell you now, thanks to our media team, we have been shortlisted for that award. So you will find out probably on the 4th of September whether we won it or not. And if we haven't won it, I shall fire Laurie immediately, and if we have won it, I should probably pass out in shock. So guys, this is from me to you now, and really thanks to all you people who watch us and come on to these sort of chats. It's because of you that we can do what we do, and you know, it's because of our media presence that more people learn about us. So a huge bit of praise for our media team, who's sitting there getting nothing but my swearing at them and moaning at them every day of the week. You have been shortlisted, guys, so I know you're both not that short, but you have been listed as the shorts. Well done,
I
guys.
actually didn't know that one beforehand.
I know you didn't.
That's absolutely fantastic. Thank you to everyone who's helped us with that one. That's very, very kind.
I actually think, Laura, it's probably because they felt sorry for you.
Yes, probably. Many people do.
Right, what else have we got going on?
Work with. A few more donations have come in. Ali TK donated £20, so huge thank you to you. And Sarah Hillen has just donated £10 and has put to keep the boat going. Thank you very much. We shall put that to use if Simon actually remembers the vital components for the motor to make it work.
If Lloyd puts them in the right place, I will of course remember them, guys. You know, but you know.
He put them away.
I don't think I did actually last time, but let's not argue about that one. Right, what else is going on?
A few more questions. So Eva has asked a question about hedgehogs. Why do they spit on themselves / cover themselves in their saliva? They seem to do it when they taste something they like. So that's actually something called self-anointing. Do you want to go into that one a bit more?
No, I'm just reading another comment about your head, which Abby can look at while you're going to that one, and we can make a bit of a joke about it in a minute. It's from George Kelleher for Laurie, please, and I'll let you read the rest, Abby, at the moment.
Yeah,
so what are you going to say, Laurie?
This isn't a hat, this is definitely just hair. I just have no fashion sense at all.
But nobody has real hair like that. It's got to be, if it's not a hat, it's got to be a wig, Laurie.
No, it's definitely not. I can pull some out to prove it.
Okay. Don't pull much out, you haven't got much left.
No, that's
Go on, you were
is
saying
true.
something. Sorry, I interrupted you badly then, so go back to where you were. You've forgotten, haven't you?
I have. I've completely forgotten. So
He is
I
turning
will
into
have
me.
a look back through. Moonshine Mist. I took 2 orphan juvenile wood mice the other day. Getting well so far, but do they need heating at night? It's about 14 degrees Celsius here at night. Would appreciate some advice.
That's a question. I come in on the website on that, guys. Alice or one of the vet team will answer your question on that. My guess would be certainly yes.
Yeah, it depends on their age, but definitely
Absolutely.
they would need heating. When any young animal is, they'll be in the nest or wherever they are, sort of cuddled up, and they do need heating. We keep all of our incubators on about 26 degrees overnight. So
it's rather like me in old age. When you get old, you actually need heating as well. But that's a whole nother story.
Linda's just said, is my hair made from old Simon fur? Unfortunately, there's not enough Simon fur available to make even the small amount of hair that I've got. So
I can't think anybody would ever have made a wig like that, actually. I think it's a cast off from something that went heinously wrong years and years ago, and Laurie just hasn't learned.
I'm
But
the
never
definition
mind.
of a cast off that went wrong years and years ago.
See, you're flying tonight, Laurie. You didn't want to do it tonight because you were tired. Now, see, you're flying away. You're taking over from me, so I might as well sit and go to sleep for the rest of it now, really.
Hazelbee has asked, do we microchip any of the foxes we deal with?
We'd love to microchip every single thing, really. We can't afford to, but we do always microchip the badgers. We microchip some of the foxes, if it's a particular case that we're worried about, and we microchip some of the hedgehogs. The trouble is with microchips, the chances of that animal coming back into us again, or even going to another wildlife centre, is quite small. And to be honest, not many of the centres that I know of microchip. It's a pity. It'd be really nice to, because you build up a much better image of how long they survive, where they go, how far they travel, all sorts of interesting things. But the chances are sort of literally must be millions to one that you'd ever see that animal back in a wildlife centre again, sadly.
So the question that we unfortunately moved over because I completely forgot about it was about why do hedgehogs self-anoint?
Nobody really knows whether it's a smell or just a scent they haven't picked up before, whether they've been touched by a scent they don't recognise. Nobody ever still, and we asked this question years ago to one of England's best hedgehog experts, Nigel Reeve, and nobody's quite sure. We all have our little theories of why they self-anoint, but often if you touch one and it hasn't been touched by a human before, it will self-anoint. So I think it's something to do with scent, but I wouldn't want to swear to it because I'm not a scientist and I haven't got a degree like what Laurie has.
My degree is of no use here. I just know about fish.
I'm not going to say anything to that, Laurie, at all.
A Scottish astronomer has asked, will the new centre be accessible for disabled people?
It will be accessible to all, and especially old senile people like me. No, it will be accessible to all. We're going to have, I think it's on the website, Alice can probably, I'm sure it's on the website somewhere, the sort of plans of it all and what we want to do. And I'd love to do it tomorrow, but in this climate of financial insecurity and uncertainness, if it comes, it'll come from either a very high net worth individual, and if you know anyone who is one of those said people and they have an environmental interest, please just plug us into them, let us go and talk to them, even just to get their advice. Or it will come from someone who again loves what we do and wins the lottery big time. I spend a lot of money on the lottery, not because because I just want to build this new centre, but it was, I think, the chance about 33 million to 1 of winning a prize, isn't it, or something ridiculous.
Yeah, I know.
But
yeah.
you got, if you don't try, you don't get, Laurie, do you?
Kristen has just asked, do we have any concerns about diseases like rabies? I understand it's not common in the UK, but I noticed there's a lot of nips and bites in your line of work.
We obviously have vaccinations for, Laurie, what's the...
Not for me.
No,
every single volunteer here has to go through the standard vaccinations that we have. Tetanus and stuff like that.
Tetanus, that's the one.
Tetanus.
So we have some of those. if you work for a wildlife centre, you are allowed, if you get a letter from your centre, to go to the doctor and ask for a rabies shot. Not a bad idea to have it. We really don't get rabies at all here. I think there's been 1 or 2 cases in the last many years, and they're normally from science-based people. And there was a case very recently in the press, I can't remember where it was, of rabies, and I'm not sure it was UK or somewhere else, but I was quite shocked to read it in the press. Somebody, a bat or something, had rabies. But yeah,
it's
none of us have ever
very
had
rare
it.
here, luckily.
Incredibly
and
rare.
anyone who does deal with bats here does actually have the rabies jab. We have the rabies jab as well, our vets do. Just in case, even though the rabies jab, it only buys you a bit more time, it doesn't prevent anything, but it's more about taking precautions, wearing gloves and the appropriate handling devices. A few more donations have come in, so a Mr. Adam Warner has donated £5 on that one, so you might
It's
might
going
have some
down.
words to
It's
say
getting
about
lower, Laurie. Is it getting lower or higher?
that. For those of you who don't know, Adam is actually the husband of Abby, who is sat just to the right of me here, who works with me on the media side of things, films an awful lot of our rescues and edits a lot of our rescues. Doesn't like appearing in the front of the camera, so if I try and drag her in, I will get killed. So I'm not going to try that one.
Yes, you will.
I've just been reliably confirmed that I will be killed if she is brought in front of the camera. But he donates every week in various amounts, usually in 99-cent increments.
I think it should go up every week. It should be 9p the first week, 99p the second week, 9.99 and so on. So
That would get very expensive very
after
quickly.
6 months, we'd be incredibly wealthy, Laurie.
Also, Lee has donated $20 and has put, "So glad to contribute to our animal friends in the UK. Wish we had hedgehogs in the US." Thank you very much. The hedgehogs will definitely appreciate it.
I'll tell you, I'll swap you some hedgehogs for a manatee. That'd be quite cool.
Having looked through some of the questions, Michelle has asked, "Is anything happening right now with the new centre, or has it been put on pause because of COVID?"
It's not on pause, no. I mean, some of the work's been put on pause during COVID, and we had a bit of a fallout with one of the contractors about a couple of weeks ago. That's all gone horribly wrong, but we're trying to put it back on track now. So our plan is, for various reasons, we want to build the wetlands first. One of the main reasons, obviously, is because wetlands take a long time to develop, and I want it to be a most amazing wildlife corridor. So we're going to have wetlands and marshlands and meadowlands. So it'll be a beautiful wildlife corridor. But it will take 5 or 6 years to begin to look anything, so that needs to happen first, and that will happen. It was going to happen this year. It might now happen to all be started. It will be started by the end of the year, but possibly won't be finished until the middle of next year. So that is going ahead, but the rest of it, the sort of big build, which is anything up to depend what we do at the end of the day, but anything up to about £6 million, we'll just have to wait until Laurie or I win the lottery.
Just an update from Alice as well. So for those of you who don't know, Alice, who's in the chat at the moment, is our office manager. She's currently on reception dealing with admits and queries and the phones and everything like that. Definitely multitasking. She's just put that we've just had a goose in which has a mouthful of rotten food who has trouble swallowing. So it's certainly very varied here, and one of the vets will be dealing with that as we speak.
Often what happens with that, we get it a lot with swans as well, where the food balls up and goes under the tongue, and once that's gone under the tongue, they obviously can't swallow it, and it does go rotten and rancid and horrible. And it is often, especially with swans, just a case of getting your finger in below its tongue, flicking out this horrible, dirty, rancid food, and it'll be fine again. So if anybody is not there or not there to help, just give me a call in a minute when we finish this, and I'll go and have a look. But that is usually the case. So that's another little gem of wisdom from me. Laurie, we've gone over the hour again. It's your fault.
Yeah, we're just over now, so we will unfortunately have to wrap this up in the next couple of minutes. So if you do have any questions, please leave them in the chat. We'll try and get through as many as we can before we have to go. Just last couple of minutes. A very nice comment from Jules, actually. Watching these videos restores my faith in humanity. The people who call you in to make the rescue, and you risking life and limb at times to rescue them. Thank you both. Huge thank you for that. That's very, very kind of you to say.
That's actually the only reason I have rabies shots, because I have to work with Laurie. So that's where I risk life and limb regularly. Every chance we get, Laurie will try to do me down.
I'm not saying anything.
Good,
Should we bring up for the fact that one of the times that you locked the keys in the rescue car and had to wait for Alice to drive over with a spare
Yeah, it's a long
set?
way from centre to... Yeah, I don't know how I managed
It's a very
to do it.
long way from the centre.
They say it's impossible to do it, but I did manage to lock this electronic fob in the car, which apparently is impossible, but not to me it's not. And Alice had to drive something like over half an hour, I think maybe even nearly an hour to get to us, to bring the spare key, which luckily we had one of. So yes, I've had my... You know, I'd make the odd mistake. I only make mistakes really so it doesn't show Laurie and the team up too much. I like to show that I'm nearly human, if not quite.
No comment.
And insane. Insanity obviously runs in the family.
You're definitely insane. So the Black Squirrel has said, scratches, bites and broken ribs. What's the worst injury either of you have sustained in your line of work? I think you take the cake on these ones.
I'm just going to stop for a minute there because it says £1 for every time has said eager beavers during tonight's broadcast. So it's eager beavers, eager beavers, eager beavers, eager beavers, easy. I can't even say it quickly. Eager beavers, eager beavers, eager beavers, eager beavers. That's got to be a tenner. But no worries. Sorry, Laurie, off you go. Go on, go again.
So Black Squirrel has put, scratches, bites and broken ribs. What's the worst injury either of you have sustained in your line of work? I think you certainly take the cake on injuries.
Probably. I mean, I've never what I would call sustained a serious injury. I've been bitten and I've been gored with an antler. But when I say gored, it wasn't a very bad gore. I have an antler through the head and through the front of my forehead, antler inside of my neck. I'd had an antler down my back. Which actually just ruined a brand new shirt I'd put on that day, which really, really upset me. But no, nothing serious, guys. We've been bitten, we've been hurt a bit every now and then, but that's what it's all about. I always say if you're a good rescue, you never get bitten or never get hurt because you know what you're doing. So I don't even win that one either.
I was going to say that's why you've been bitten several times.
Thank you, Laurie.
To be fair, so have I, so I can't say anything.
That's the end of your Christmas bonus. Guys, we should wrap it up really. Laurie, we're going to wrap it up because it's that time of night. It's that time of night. Less Bacardi, Simon. That's what I'm going to... When I leave here, I'm going to have a Bacardi. I can tell you that right now. Because I'm knackered. We've had a long day and we've got... my diary tomorrow is already full up. And we've got to check on that swan rescue as well. So lots going on. I'm now going to go and have a look at this goose up at the hospital. So it's a sort of good night from me. And Laurie can have the final sign-off. Off you go, Mr. Brayley.
Just before we go as well, if you do want to keep up to date with everything that's happening at the centre, please make sure you follow us on all the social media platforms. And we do have our webcams on our website. So at the moment it's 2 herring gulls. We've got our fox cubs, the last fox cubs of this year, hopefully, we'll see. One group of our badger cubs and 11 tawny owls. So if you do want to see any of those, we have live webcams over on the website. Please head over there and take a look. And yeah, thank you everyone who has tuned in to this one. That is incredibly kind. Thank you to Nigel who's just donated £10 as well. Huge thank you to all of you for all your support. We could not continue without your help. And we shall see you in 2 weeks.
Your stars.
Bye-bye.
Thanks very much, guys. Good night.